Yo, what is up, NPL fans? Shadi, your coach of Bayern Munich, and welcome to week 1 of NPL Season 7. I'm incredibly excited. I hope you guys are as well. Before we get into the actual stuff and the things, make sure to check out all the links in the description down below to the NPL fan sub, where you can be my fan and have me love you, and the YouTube channel, the Twitter, all those things, as well as the fan shop for the PPL, because that's the only place where you can buy a shirt with my logo on, so you know you can do that. And also all the graphic artists and whoever else helped. Show them all some love. They deserve it. Now, let's get into week 1, and as you can tell from the thumbnail, this is a very important match because we go up against none other than my very, very good friend and rival, Mr. Murkrow, and his San Francisco Regigiants. If you've been around my channel for a while, you will have seen that Murk and I have played a couple of games, and they were all pretty good. Also, as I said, Murk is a very good friend of mine. We both know each other very well in terms of, you know, playing style and just as a person, I guess, but that's not important. So it's definitely going to be an interesting match, and I think we're both on a very, very even level. However, currently I'm 3-1 against him, so maybe we can keep that. Granted, he won the only match that really mattered, the GPC finals. Anyway, Murk has been absolutely in form recently, and I haven't. Simple as that. But that doesn't mean anything. That's a new league or new season, new team, all that stuff. And yeah, so let's just get into the matchup. If you want to know my draft overall, then you can just look on my channel. There is a draft analysis where you can just see what I drafted, why I drafted it, and such. So, also, of course, as always, with Showdown Leaks, Team Builder and Battle in the same video. I might put a thing to skip it somewhere. I probably will forget though. So, so yeah, my team should be on screen in a second, but Murk's team consists of Mega God of War, Zapdos, Lucario, Celebi, Dragonite with Z-moves, Drapion, Miltank, Gastron, Talonflame, Gligar, and Kabutops. A very scary team. A very interesting team. I don't know, it just looks unusual when you look at it. But it's super threatening. Mega God of War, I literally do not have a switch in. Nothing. Nothing on my team does not get 2-8 by it. Pretty terrible. Zapdos is a massive annoyance to my team. Like, it just walls almost everything, or at least checks it, or something. It's stupid. Lucario just wins late game if, you know, I let things get weakened and whatnot. And I let it set up an SD, which is also a problem. Dragonite with D-moves is just broken as fuck, and I hate it. Well, I love using it, but you know, he has T-spikes, which are super annoying to my current team, and I will make a transfer for that eventually, when possible. And then even Talonflame can be a threat. Miltank is an annoying fat piece of shit, and Kabutops can even be pretty threatening. So there's a lot of scary stuff on his team. However, worth mentioning is that his speed tiers are kind of fucked. He has Talonflame at 126, and then he has 4 base 100s. Who would ever do that? I also have 4 base 100s. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. We both have those base 100s all over the place, and we'll see who runs how much speed investment. I encourage you to watch his side of the video for sure, and also just check out his channel in general. I forgot to mention that. Fantastic draft content, a lot of draft content, so if what I do isn't enough by any stretch of the imagination, which probably isn't, go check out Murk. He uploads a lot of stuff, and it's all very, very good. So, yeah, so building this team was a bit of a doozy, I think. I had a lot of builds. Initially, the first one I started off with was Comfy, but after having a couple of mocks, it just didn't work. It just wasn't satisfying. It just wasn't strong enough because his team is really, really fat, and while being really, really fat, it's also strong enough to do damage to Comfy. So, didn't really work. So I had to eventually replace that, and almost everything went through changes on his team, barring this thing. That's what we're going to start off. Solar, the Heliolisk, with the choice specs. Dry Skin has the ability, of course. Hyper Voice, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and Signal Beam, with enough speed towards speed his base 100s. Just in case, you know, Max Mega God of War is the main thing I'm looking at. Is that the only? Yeah, it's pretty much the only one I'm expecting to be max speed, if anything. So, this thing has a fantastic matchup. For one, it gives me that normal spam core with Mega Kangaskhan, which is super nice this matchup, and his ground types in the form of Gligar and Gastron didn't show up to any of my mocks. Not even a little bit. Gliga I don't think is coming at all because it's just a bad Pokemon, and also just doesn't do anything as my team, obviously. So like, I don't see what it would do. Pretty much everything I have beats it, or it, yeah, pretty much everything beats it. So, and then Gastron also didn't come to any of my mocks. Plus, my team deals really well with passive water types, in the form of, stuff like Liss can switch into Scald, so he can't spam Scald. Latias doesn't care. Shaman is like hard counter, and so on and so forth. Even Volcarona doesn't really care about it, if we're being real. Seismitoad doesn't care. So, Float, it can't burn Floatzel either, so, it's just not great. It's helpful for Floatzel because he can be, just an Earth Power set and just do damage, and hope that I don't have Hidden Power Grass or Natural Gift Grass or whatever else. But overall, I think Gastron is super duper likely. So, what this means, I can more than likely free Volt Switch. I don't think Gastron is definitely not coming, but I definitely feel like, oh, stupid. I definitely feel like there are other mons that are more important. I think he needs to bring other things. So I don't think he's gonna bring Gastron just because of that. So, Spexius, Hyper Voice is super spammable against his team. It's only normal resists. Lucario and Kabutops. None of which want to take it, really. I'm pretty sure they both get tweet killed unless they're really bulky. So, Spexius is looking really nice. This also gives me a way of gaining momentum, and it gives me a way of just threatening things out. I tweet kill a lot of his team, if not all of it. Spidef Zapdos doesn't get tweet killed because it's dumb. Mega Gardevoir, if it's a bulky set, doesn't get tweet killed. Celebi, if it's Spidef, doesn't get tweet killed by Hyper Voice, but of course I have Signal Beam for that. I think Spidef Miltank gets tweet killed, and Gastron doesn't get tweet killed either if it's, Spidef invested at all. So, in Gliga maybe, I'm pretty sure Gliga doesn't get tweet killed, but everything else is gonna get fucking plopped by the thing, and it's just really nice to have game momentum, just kind of pivot into things like Zapdos, scout for damage, scout for sets, and Volt Switch out, that kind of thing. And just overall, I like Lisk a lot in this matchup. It did a lot of work in my mocks. So, next up we have Cordelia D. Latias, and this is a Life Orb Latias. This is something I've never done before. And Latias went through a lot of different sets. I had a default set initially because T-Spikes are annoying. Then I had a, what else did I have? I had Roselli Berry at some point. I had other berries. I was considering Chilan Berry for the Lucario, and other stuff. Yeah, I think it was Calm Mind Roselli Berry at some point. Just a lot of things that just didn't work. So ultimately, I decided a Life Orb set would be my best bet because he doesn't actually have a good switch in. Mega Gardevoir doesn't want to take a Shadow Ball at all, and everything else kind of just gets bodied by Latias. If it was Latios, that'd be a lot better, but I'm not. And this Pursuit Trapper being Drapion, I don't think is going to survive for all that long. I think it's going to, get up T-Spikes and then maybe just let it go down. Because he knows that I don't tend to bring hazard removal, and if he gets a poison on like one or two things, like Mega Kang mainly, that's the main thing he probably wants to get poisoned. Then he can just let it die. So that's cool. He also doesn't want to take a Draco at all. That's that's also good. Yeah, Latias is just a hole puncher. Roost is super nice in this matchup because it allows me to help with things like Gastron and whatnot. Just kind of spam Psych against his team if Drapion goes down. And plop things with a Draco or a Shadow Ball, depending. Draco is not something I want to click as long as my Gardevoir is still chilling, because they're not -2 and I do like 2% to it and I'm sad. So we don't want that. But yeah. Overall, the thing is super nice. Roost is there to just keep this thing healthy because if Latias stays healthy, I'm in a good position because it can take a hit from pretty much anything on its team or outspeed. It outspeeds everything barring the Talonflame, so it's Garfos of course. So it's super duper nice. And if I can get rid of Mega Gardevoir with other things, this thing is going to put in a ton of work. So next up, we have the debut. Of course, it's the first game of Amaranth, the Mega Kangaskhan with Scrappy before Megalovania and Portal Bond. Not that it matters. Facade, Toxic, Wish, Protect with 212 in HP, 44 in attack, and max speed. Jolly. The HP is just so that Miltank Seismitoad does basically nothing, and it can easily Toxic and Wish and Facade on it and not have to worry about it. And I don't need much attack, honestly. So this set is really nice because I can beat all of his Mega Can counters with this set. Somewhat. Depends on if they toxic me, but if they do toxic me, I have a boost of Facade, and then they're gonna be sad. But yeah, so that's a cool thing. Facade is mainly there because of the Toxics, as well as the Static from Zapdos, the T-Spikes that I think he's going to bring and get up, because I'm pretty sure they were dead. All of my mocks, or at least most of them, and just in general, it just makes sense against my team. And the scores from Gastron if it does decide to come. T-Wave Celebi is an option, you know, and Miltank too, so those kind of things. I can get my Facade boosted and just do a ton of damage to his team. Wish Protect is amazing because all of his defensive Kang answers just don't do damage to me, so I can just Toxic, Wish Protect, just sit there and just be fat and beat them. You know, that's one way of winning. And as I said, his team does have Fuck Speed, so the only thing it does outspeed me is a Talonflame and a Scarf. I'm kind of expecting Scarf Lucario because it is a fantastic Kang chat, and just in general, it's actually pretty good against my team in my opinion. It does have some issues, of course. Volcarona can set up on it, for example, and that kind of thing, but I can see it coming, definitely. That being said, if he is Scarf, I can kind of deal with it with Weezing, Scum, Latias combo. I should be able to deal with them, but if I let those get worn down or just let them die, then I'm fucked, basically. So, you know, he can bring it. I don't know if he will. Obviously, this set also just doesn't do anything to Lucario, which is a problem, and I really want to pack Earthquake or something. And then she obviously, at least she had a Power Punch set, as you know, Mega Kang tends to do, but it just didn't work. I like to set a lot more, and we'll see how it goes. And so we have one of the big win cons, in my opinion, one of the best things in this matchup, and that is Marcus the Floats with a choice band, Water Veil, Waterfall, Ice Punch, Aqua Jet, and Baton Pass, Adamant, choice band, and Floatzel. And then, you know, max speed allows me to outspeed his base 100s if they are max speed. So, Floatzel does a lot. It can kill Mega Gardevoir, kill Mega Gardevoir's offensive in one hit. It 2-hit kills most Zapdos sets. It does a ton. I think it kills Lucario as well. No, I don't think it does, but it does a million to Lucario. It 2-hit kills a good amount of Celebi sets. It does a million to Dragonite, even through the multi-scale. Drapion doesn't want to take it. Miltank doesn't want to take it. The only thing that takes this thing's hits well is Gastron. Plus, Celebi wasn't there in all of my mocks. If it comes, that's going to be really, really annoying. I need to play around it pretty well. And I didn't actually realize how annoying that would be to my team. You will see, it ended up being a pretty big annoyance. But yeah, Baton Pass is there because if Gastron comes, I can just gain initiative off it, go into my Kang, just Toxic it, and just be a happy camper. That's that. I had a lot of different full sets. I had a bulk up set, which managed to sweep my mocks because I got a freeze on a Celebi. You know, lucky bad. Yeah, I initially wanted bulk up with Natural Gift Grass, and then more and more I realized Gastron is not gonna come, so there's no point. Then I was a bulk up set with just 3 attacks, I think. These 3, something like that. And that also just didn't make much sense, or didn't work well because I just can't bulk up on anything. I don't threaten things out hard enough for me to be safely bulking up. Bulk up has, didn't like that either. So ultimately, Adamant Choice Bandit is really, really nice. Because without a band, it's just not strong enough against the team. But with a band, if Celebi isn't there, slash weakened, and rocks are up for Dragonite, so I don't have to worry about it as much, I'm pretty fine to just spam Waterfall over his team and just kind of grab kills with rocks up. So, in order to get those rocks up, we have, of course, Titania, the Scummy with the Walk-On Berry, Sturdy, Stealth Rock, Whirlwind, Roost, and Brave Bird. This investment is so I can take a Hyper Voice plus a Thunderbolt from Mega Gardevoir, so I can switch into the Hyper Voice, and then take a Thunderbolt, either get up my rocks, get off a Brave Bird, whatever I feel like at the time, and just be content with life. First Death investment is there because I can still take hits from Lucario, kinda, sorta, maybe, and Dragonite. Yeah, that's pretty much straightforward. It's a Skarmory. It's the most boring Pokemon on my team ever existent. It's just there to get up rocks and do its thing. And last but not least, so you know, I can't just build a team without at least some spice, can I? That'd be boring as fuck. So I had Defog initially on Latias because of T-Spikes, and T-Spikes are still really annoying to his team. I don't want to have mainly Fultz and Healers poisoned. If I get regular poison on Kang, that's completely fine with me. That's actually perfect because I can just, you know, have my Facade boosted and just wish up and not care about that little bit of poison damage I take. But I don't want to get toxic poison on it, and I don't want to get, you know, poison the other two things. So in order to not waste the moveset on Latias or Skarmory this week, because I do need all 4 move slots, Whirlwind on Skarmory, worth mentioning of course for Dragonite and Lucario, I figured that, you know what, I also am kind of weak to his physical sweepers in the form of Lucario and Dragonite. Let's bring this boy. Shimada the Weezing, shout out to Hanzo and Genji, the cancerous pieces of shit, with the Iron Ball. Levitate as the ability doesn't really matter with the Iron Ball. Sludge Bomb, Will-O-Wisp, Flamethrower Haze, pretty straightforward. Philly for his death. This thing takes Dragonite's hits for days. That obviously doesn't take a Z Fly because Z moves are broken, but you know, it also takes a Life Orb Psychic from a physical Lucario, so if he's like mixed with Psychic, which I have seen by mocks and I think does make a lot of sense, I'm, you know, safe to take one and just burn him or haze him depending on whether he's set up or not, or just Flamethrower him of course. So, why do I have an Iron Ball? Well, if you don't know what it does, it grounds me. The speed is half, doesn't really matter because everything barring Gastronaut speeds me anyway, so you know, and again, Gastronaut isn't coming. So, yes, I'm Iron Ball, I'm grounded Weezing, because I can get rid of T-Spikes, I can soak up the Toxic Spikes and be a happy camper. Also, he has no reason to bring any ground coverage against my team. The only thing that is weak to ground on my team is Heliolisk, which doesn't need coverage for at all or anything ever. So, yeah, and his ground types, as I said, are not good against my team, so that's fine. So there's going to be no ground moves on his team. I can 100% ensure you that there won't be any. So I'm safe to run the Iron Ball and just get rid of the Toxic Spikes. Is this stupid? Absolutely. Will it work? I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, there's basically no drawback of me running Iron Ball, so I figured, you know what, let's just throw it on there. I can run the better moves on Latias that I want. In the form of, I think Draco was the one I put on there, or Psychic, I don't know, one or two, and just be content. You know, don't have to worry about anything. Life of Latias can be safe, and Weezing is gonna be my Toxic Spike Soaker upper. Yeah, sure, that's a word. So yeah. So also in one of my mocks, I decided to stay in on Drapion, and then I got knocked off, so I didn't have my Iron Ball anymore, and then T-Spikes, well, it was terrible. Don't play when you're tired, kids, or just don't be stupid in general. Yeah, that's a team. Tell me what you think in the comments down below, and I'm going to pause, and then we'll get right into the game against Murk. Okay, so here with the game, and I'm going to include the chat at least a little bit for this week, because, you know, Murk and I have some things going on. Might be entertaining. I don't want to change the dimensions of the recording stuff, so to include the whole chat, but you should be able to see most of it, so have fun with that. My friends or whatever. I don't know. So, as you can see, Murk decided to bring Megalovania, Drapion, Zapdos, Celebi, Kabutops, and Lucario. So there is no Dragonite, which is the only surprising thing, and a very surprising thing, and I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All there is to say in T-Preview, because everything else is normal. I'm gonna leave off with my Heliolisk. I let off with it in pretty much all my mocks, I think all of them. No, I let with Skarmory the original ones and then I changed later on, but yeah. I'm just gonna leave off with my Heliolisk. Lefto's probably gonna not be happy. He's also with Trapeon, it's a good name. I'm just gonna go for the voltage. I can get a free Specs voltage off anything, that's why this is a perfect lead. Do a clean 55% to Drapion. Gonna go into my Mega Kang as he gets up his Toxic Spikes. I'm gonna be able to get off my Mega Evolution here. Go for Toxic, expecting these Zapdos to come in. Turns out he doesn't want to do that and just stays in. Goes for Poison Jab, and he gets a Poison on me, which I'm okay with, I think. Because like being poisoned is fine because I, you know, get the thing and stuff. So I'm gonna wish up as he goes for the Poison Jab, and I'm like, okay, I can just kill this, and everything is fine. And then I'll be back at like 80%, 70 after poison. Turns out he's Rocky Helmet Drapion, so that's a really good prep on his end. As you will see later, this is not his only Rocky Helmet user, so you know. But yeah, that Toxic Spray was a little unfortunate. I definitely expect him to keep the Drapion around in case I defog, but you know, guess he didn't want to. So he goes to Kabutops, and the Iron Ball Weezing works. I can get rid of the T-Spikes. I'm the greatest. Okay, so he hits those rocks. I'm just gonna fire off the Will-O-Wisp. Probably should have just gone for the Sludge Bomb because I didn't think he would stay in there. But he could have just been like, hey, I'm gonna like get damage off and stuff. But yeah, I'm just gonna go into my Latias here, knowing that I can take basically anything from the Celebi. I can scout its set. If it's a nasty plus, I can kind of, you know, do damage to it or scare it out. He goes in Kaboot Ups, and I'm just gonna fire off the Psychic, do a clean 18% to Celebi, so this is a pretty bulky Celebi, Split F invested for sure. And I'm gonna fire off a Shadow Ball here, try to scout a little bit more for damage just to ensure that I kind of know what its set is, and it does 42%. And he's just gonna be able to recover up, get back to full. So what I'm gonna do now is just fish for Split F drops over a couple of turns. I'm also gonna reveal to him that I also have Roost, just so he knows. And he's gonna go for the Dazzling. He does absolutely nothing because like Alias is a god and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna Shadow Ball. I'm just gonna hope for some Split F drops. That's the easiest way for me to beat the thing. And honestly, this one probably the only one. And he's gonna Psychic here, expecting me to switch out potentially. Yeah, just put damage on something. I'm gonna Roost again, and he's gonna reveal. I think this turn that he has. Nope, he's gonna recover. Okay. So we're both just sitting here being fat psychic types and shit and recovering. He's gonna go for the Toxic, I think, this turn. Yeah, he's gonna Toxic me, which is really unfortunate because this means my Latias cannot beat this Celebi 1v1. Otherwise, I more than likely would have been able to, just because my move that does damage can actually get a Split F drop, and his, you know, he has to go for Psychic to damage to get a Split F drop. So I'm going to risk here, kind of bluffing the Signal V. Maybe he's scared of it and wants to switch out. I'm just going to Volt Switch, go into my Scarm, because I now know this thing's full moveset. He's going to recover. That's his way of scouting for Signal V. That's the much better play, obviously. And I think I'm just going to go for my rocks here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, get rocks. This is where I wish I had Toxic, because I probably would have clicked that there. I had Toxic on one of my Skarmy sets for this week, and I just changed it. He goes for the Roar as I go into the disc, and he brings me into Kang, which is super unfortunate. That's the one thing I really didn't want to see, because it just means I get rocks damage, and I can't really wish up, because he can either just kill me or roar me out on the following turn. So either way, there's not much point. And he knows that I can't do that, so he's gonna go into Kaboot Ups. He's gonna get the fucking weak armor boost out of his fucking ass, and that's the fastest fucking fossil I've seen in my life. And I'm gonna keep my Kang around, just, you know, because I can still get a hit off on something potentially, and that's gonna be nice. Or wish off, like obviously getting a wish onto something can be really nice. He's gonna go for super, but does nothing. He's gonna miss Stonage on the following turn. Unfortunate as I go for the Sludge Bomb, doesn't quite kill him, but on the following turn his life up recoil will kill him to the Stonage, or from the, you know what I mean. He's dead. So, he's gonna bring in the Celebi here. I have not much use for Weezing at this amount of health, because it's gonna die to the Lucario anyway. He's gonna go for Psychic. Celebi picks up a kill, and I may be up 5-4, but this Celebi is a huge annoyance. What I'm gonna do here is go into my Kang, because Facade should do enough to the point where he's gonna be weakened by quite a bit. Wish doesn't make much sense, so I figured this would be my best chance to get damage off. Turns out he also has some Fizz Dev investment, so, you know, calcing against the thing with base 100 stats overall just isn't very nice, because you don't know what exactly it's going to do. But seeing as he doesn't have Grass Type, I can just go into my full to click Ice Punch, bring him down to 29%, and he's going to recover, just Scout. And now he's going to, I think, switch out? I'm definitely switching out into Skarmy, expecting the Lucario, and no, he just goes for Psychic. Okay. Yep, fair play. And I think I click Whirlwind here, expecting him to go into Zapdos so I can get him out of there and be happy. Turns out he just stays in, gets a crit Split F drop, which pretty sure neither of those mattered, and goes into Zapdos. Maybe I would have been able to live a hit from Zapdos without crit and Split F drop, and then he gets another crit. Doesn't matter, but you know, he did. So Skarmy goes down. At this point, if you look at my team, I'm looking kinda weak to the Lucario. But you know, these things happen, and my laptop is lagging. But I'm just gonna lock myself into the Specs Hyper Voice here. His only resist is Lucario, and I'm gonna hope to play around. I have to play around it now, you know, to the best of my abilities. And Hyper Voice does do a ton to the Zapdos, and he's just gonna discharge, get some damage off. And at this turn, I'm gonna go into my, I think, Latias here, just because I don't want to kill this with Hyper Voice, because then he can just go into Lucario and set up. He decides to Roar again, which is his best play at that point, and brings me on to Full Tilt. So I'm going to Waterfall, take the Rocky Helmet damage. So this was the second Rocky Helmet user there. Double Rocky Helmet for Kang, really good prep. And Celebi is going to come in, and I have to switch out because I'm locked into Waterfall, and he goes for the Psychic, and everything is sad. So since my Latias is Toxic, I don't think there's much of a way for me winning unless I get like flinches and like more than one. And even then, I think Lucario with E-Speed just cleans up at this point. So I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball, get damage off, hope that he doesn't recover. Maybe put him in range to lower the differential at this point, because that's all I can hope for. I'm gonna go into my, I think, my list here and click Signal Beam because it's the only way I can kill the thing, because the thing has like the perfect spread to take anything I have on my team apparently, and I'm a little upset. He's going to make a god now. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna click Signal Beam, get some damage off on him. He's always gonna have to make a volt so dry skin isn't staying, and then he's gonna be in range for Float to kill it. I'm gonna get confusion here, and I'm gonna get him to hit himself, which is great. So this definitely means I can lower the differential with Floatzel, and he's gonna be able to pull the fucking Trick Room Mega God of War just to trigger me. If you guys don't know, he's also gonna hit himself again. So, you know, further differential lowering, I guess, potentially. Yeah, he did that because March Madness Finals. It also is good against my team, but mainly March Madness Finals, I'm pretty sure, because I lost to that. So, Lucario is going to be able to clean up with the ESP tier. I'm just going to go for the Aqua Jet because I'm slower in Trick Room, and he can just go for the safe close combat and knock me out, and then it's going to be a 1-0 loss in week 1 of NPL Season 7. GG Murk. So it was a good game. I need to drink something. Jesus Christ. Okay, cool. Could have paused there, but no, that's professional. You can, I'm just gonna scroll up this chat a little bit so you can look through it if you want. But yeah, GG Murk definitely at Celebi was by far the MVP. I definitely didn't prep quite as well for it as I could have. Yeah, I think that's partially based on the fact that it wasn't that prevalent in my mocks, I think. So yeah, he just had a perfect spread on Celebi, so good on him. And Toxic also made it hard for me to deal with it, otherwise Lottie could have just sat there and be happy. So once again, Murk beats me to Lucario, you know, the usual. Shout out to GPC Finals. But yeah, not too upset, honestly. It was a good game, was enjoyable. Playing against Murk is always fun. Except when you lose a finals game, I guess, but you know, even that was okay. Rather lose to Murk than anyone else in the GPC at the time. Anyway, that's pretty much it. He was nabbing 2 kills, which is pretty nice. Yeah, Selby just nothing worked out. The roar into Kang was really unfortunate for me. I think that's the point where the game kind of just went downhill, or started going downhill, I suppose. But you know, that's the game. I'm not going to complain about hacks or some bullshit like that. For once. Yeah, happens. GG Murk. Again, make sure to check him out. He's a great guy. Well, yeah, you know, he's not a great guy. He's a cunt, but yeah, he's just my favorite cunt. Yeah. So we start off the NPL season with a 1-0 loss. That's fine. Could have been worse, honestly. I think Murk just built a very good team. And yeah, next week. Welcome to the NPL. It's not getting easier. In fact, it's getting a lot harder even, because next week, I say a lot, it's getting harder. We go up against Gypsy King, the current champion, or double champion, I guess, back-to-back champion of the NPL, and his super scary team, with the likes of Megalovania, Celsi, the fucking Z-move Lander team, which makes me want to kill myself, and all kinds of other stuff. And yeah, so that's gonna be fun, and that will be up next week, and we'll see if we can get back on track and hopefully grab a win against the champion, because that would be a sign or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. Tell me what you think of the team that I built and the match and all the things. Again, make sure to check out all the links in the description below. They all deserve your attention. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching, and make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, leave some notes. I will appreciate all 3 of those, and hopefully see you guys next week. Goodbye.